For me, depression is wild because it's the same, but it's different for everyone. I always like to use the metaphor of being cast out to sea. Most days, it's a flat ocean and you're good, but every so often you can kind of sense something on the horizon, and before you know it, you're finding yourself in these like 50-foot waves, and you're just swimming for your life, and you're just trying to keep your head above the water, and you don't know if it's gonna last hours, days, maybe even sometimes weeks. And so you just have to constantly remind yourself to keep swimming. You have to keep your head above the water. But for others, it's sometimes one storm too many.
Brian had a laugh and a smile that just lit up the room. I mean, you never had to question if he was in the room or not, you knew. He made you feel special, he made it fun. We were only 2.5 years apart, so growing up, it was like everywhere we went, it was always like, Brian, take care of your little sister. We enjoyed being together. We grew up on a Christmas tree farm, so very Hallmarky. A lot of work, but a lot of fun.
Growing up, you look at your heroes as these perfect, infallible, characters, and you don't think that they have problems or struggles. And for me, my uncle was my hero. He was this larger-than-life person. In 2012, my uncle killed himself. It was something that was really hard. Suicide is always hard, and I think just even being able to say the word suicide is a show of strength. There's a taboo on the word, and I think we need to, as survivors, as loved ones who know people who battle depression or have lost someone to suicide, that we reclaim that word.
It's obviously the worst day of my life, but my mom sent me a text, and it said, I need to talk to you, but I need to make sure that you're in a really safe place. So I knew something horrible had happened. And for me, like, the hardest thing is to put myself in their spot of, they just got the most terrible news of their life, and then they had to call me and let me know what happened. And it's been 11 years, and this is still how I feel whenever I think back to that day.
I remember the night back in 2015 when I basically decided I was going to take my own life, and I was on a 5-night bender of drinking, drugs, no sleep. I was like, there's 3 options I have. I can jump off this balcony, I can go take pills, or I can shoot myself. And my worst fear was of heights, so I was like, balcony's out of the way. And so I made the decision, I'm gonna go grab my gun because it's the fastest and it's gonna be the easiest. And I remember walking to go get my gun, and this voice, or this urge inside of me, told me to lay down. I remember audibly laughing because I hadn't slept in 5 days. And before I knew it, the urge to grab my pillow and lay down on my couch was stronger than the urge to grab my gun. I woke up the next day after a full night's sleep, wondering how I got there, how this happened. When you're in the pit, when you're in that dark circle, you lose hope. I told myself, every day, I have to get better. Every day, I have to keep swimming. I have to keep my head above the water.
So my friends came over that day just to be with me. And I live on a marina, and I said, Liz, I know that I'm an emotional wreck, but are those bunnies? And there were these bunnies at the base of the lighthouse. I'd never seen them before. I'd lived there for 13 years. And then I started seeing more and more of them. So we adopted Theo and Vincent. We still have them 8 years later. And so I call them my bunnies from heaven. I think that, whenever you go through something so tragic, you have to find a connection. Who knows why he sent me bunnies, but they're comforting.
Therapy for me is a non-negotiable. A lot of us, we're in this hustle, bustle world in this society that we live in, and we don't get that time to share because we're worried about what others will think. We're worried about how we'll be perceived, and so we bottle it inside and we isolate, and then that just over time just starts to tear away at you. It's what people who live with depression and anxiety are yearning for. They're yearning for freedom from themselves. So when you're able to release that and you're emptying that, you become lighter. It's a holistic approach. You have to get sleep, eating correctly, exercising, getting outside. They allow you to be your best version. Finding and walking with God completely changed my life. When you're up here and you're by yourself, you have a reminder that there's a Savior and there's someone with you in the boat who is asking you to lay your burdens down.
Brian did have some struggles as he got into his later teenage years with some depression, bipolar. So he was on medication. You hear of people who stop taking medication because it dulls their personality, and it did. We had an identical childhood, and we both grew up so happy. I can't really even imagine it, because even now, I've never experienced it. It's hard for somebody who hasn't gone through it to understand, and that's why I think there should be a lot more attention to it.
If you take a breath and you understand that this pain is only temporary, and you can see yourself getting to the next day, you have to want to get better. You have to want it. For me, I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. There is a way out. There's always a way out, but you have to want it. The second part is finding a community, finding, whether it's your family, a group, a support group, who will help carry you through those times. It's just baby steps. Don't try and fix yourself overnight. Understand it's a journey, it's a marathon. You have to keep going, and you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Know it's temporary. Do not make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion. Seek the help, lean into it, and just do the same thing one day after the other.
After he died, even my closest friends, they didn't want to talk about anything. I don't know if it was because they were uncomfortable, or they thought it would put me in a bad place, or they didn't know what to say. And I really think that we need to get away from that. I think for anyone who's struggling with mental health, they're so brave for acknowledging that that's how they're feeling, and hopefully for telling somebody that's how they're feeling. Every single person who's out there has value beyond what you know. And please speak up, use the resources that are available. Sometimes it's okay to be selfish and focus on yourself until you get into that better place.
The joy that I have right now is telling my story. Giving someone else hope is allowing someone to never feel the way I felt that night. I find joy in knowing that hopefully someone will see this, even if it's just one person, they'll go get the help they need. That's the joy I have. And my children, always. Gotta throw the kids in there, right?